Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's class. My name is Vanessa Alardo, and I work for Beaver Medical Group as a corporate health and wellness educator and registered dietitian. Welcome to today's class on transforming stress. So this class is a pretty special one. We are in a time of great distress for many people, and so I wanted to tackle a subject that I think a lot of people would find useful, and that is coping with COVID-19 grief. So throughout this presentation, we'll talk a little bit more about what grief is and how you can transform that stress into a more positive type of outcome. So for many of us, the world has changed dramatically. Many of us are now working from home. We've been told that we need to do or practice physical distancing, so that has become somewhat of an issue for some of us who have kids at home, understandably, because sometimes they can get rowdy. But I know for many, the work from home can be an added stressor, and for others, it may be working out quite well. It just really depends on your personality and how well you do outside of a work structure. But for a lot of people, it does add some extra stress. We've also been told to wash our hands as often as possible for at least 20 seconds, use hand sanitizer, and even now use an extra layer of protection if you can make an at-home mask. And so a lot of these things, including going to the store and sometimes seeing shelves empty, is causing some sort of hopelessness in a lot of individuals, is causing this feeling of a lot of anxiety, and anxiety built over time usually results in depression. So we do want to make sure that we are able to tune into how we're feeling, make sure that we tune into our feelings so that we can really analyze them, make sure that we feel our feelings, that way we can overcome them. So in today's class, I wanted to tell you guys that even though you may be feeling hopeless right now, there is always hope. I love to be the eternal optimist. I want to give people a lot of hope for the future, whatever the situation may be. Even if we're talking about weight loss, nutrition, exercise, there is always hope. It just really takes us to be able to control our immediate environment so that the outcome can be better for us. So the first step in controlling our stress and being able to minimize it a little bit is first understanding what grief is. Now, a lot of you may be surprised that I brought up grief, because grief is typically something that you experience with the loss of a loved one. But right now, many of us experiencing grief because of the fact that we have lost many things in our life. The world has dramatically changed, as I just mentioned in the first couple of slides. And with that comes along grief. The fact that maybe our kids aren't able to go back to school until next year, or they're going to miss their school dances, or possibly, we just got engaged and now we have to think about when will my wedding actually transpire. I have a friend like that, so that's why I bring that up. So there's a lot of reasons why we feel at a loss. Maybe we had events planned for the future, trips that we had scheduled that we had to cancel. And all of those things can produce a lot of grief with people. So understanding your feelings and truly feeling them is the first step in the right direction. If we don't feel what we need to feel and we push it down with excessive eating, maybe drinking more alcohol, things like that, which of course if you want to have a wine here and there, that's totally fine. But if you're experiencing yourself trying to deny your emotions or stuff them down, or people are telling you to just get over it if you're fearful, it is important that you stop and really reflect on what you're feeling so that you can start to find a way out of that grief. So like I mentioned earlier, there are many reasons why we're grieving right now. The food options, etc., not being able to see our friends. But it is important to understand how exactly that's affecting us. So all those things that we've been told that we can't do because it's for our protection, all the things that we've had to change about our lives, they can cause us to go through different stages of grief. So some of us may be in denial at this point. Maybe we don't really believe this is actually happening, and so maybe we're still kind of going out and about without really using a lot of protection. Some of us may be angry. We may be angry at the fact that we had to cancel events, angry at our immediate circumstance that we're at home and we don't have control of our routine and our environment. Maybe some of us are depressed. We're starting to slowly go into depression because it has been extended the amount of time that we need to stay in social isolation. So all of these stages are things that we really want to tune into. They're not linear. One day you might wake up and feel very optimistic and accepting of what's going on. And the next morning you might wake up and feel depressed again because possibly you turned on the news or you were on social media and you saw some things that triggered you. So it is important to understand that you may feel great one day and the next day you may not feel so great. And that's totally normal. It's a roller coaster of emotions at this point. Every day is a new development. Every day we hear about new things happening all over the world. And so it is important to know that it's okay to feel a little bit moody and all over the place and to accept that about yourself. And once you can accept it, you can start to transform your stress so that you can overcome it and start to practice some more healthy habits in your life. So overcoming grief is something that might be a little bit of a challenge at the beginning, especially if you haven't fully accepted what's happening. But once you can accept that you're grieving and that, yes, we lost many things, the world has dramatically changed, but there are ways that we can accept it and face our new reality, our new perspective on the world, then we can start to look within and start to manage things in our life to become a better individual, hopefully come out of this stronger, and instead of having post-traumatic stress, we'll have post-traumatic growth. So the 6 tools that we're going to talk about briefly today are maintaining a work routine, how you can manage your time at home if you are starting to work from home, reframing your mindset so that you can use more positive psychology to transform your stress, and then how we can use creative pursuits to create a productive quarantine. So if you are right now practicing a lot of physical distancing, and the reason I use physical distancing is because social distancing makes people believe that you can't contact people at all. You can't call them, you can't Zoom them, you can't Skype them. You have to stay away from them completely. We still want to socially connect. We just want to keep a physical distance for our protection and for others' protection. So talking about a productive quarantine, how we can dive into our creative passions to possibly even identify some of our new passions. Also showing gratitude. We'll talk about why that's so important to reduce stress, how you can stress less with exercise, and also meditation and relaxation exercises. So we'll talk about each one of those individually. So the first coping tool is planning your day. So if you are currently working from home or you might be doing part-time working from home, that is a great thing because you're protecting yourself and others and hopefully flattening the curve so that potentially we can get back to our normal routine a little quicker. But what I like to use is Mel Robbins' Brain Dump. So she is one of my favorite motivational speakers. I absolutely love her. If you haven't heard of her, she wrote the 5-second rule. I might have talked about her in previous classes, and if you've ever heard me speak before. She's amazing. She also developed a really great schedule so that in the morning you can really forecast your day. You can plan it out so that you can get more accomplished. So the first thing you want to do in the morning, whether you're working from home or maybe you're possibly still going into the office because it's a small office space and you can still go in every once in a while, you can still use this morning brain dump. So basically, this is a fictitious entry, so it's not a real one. I just made it up. It's Abby's entry. She doesn't really exist, so you don't have to worry about that. But we're just going to go through this briefly, and then you'll see on the next slide that I provided a PDF copy for you guys to be able to use and make copies of it because it is free. So basically, you just want to start by putting in the time that you are making this entry and the place, probably either work or home, and the date. Then you're going to identify how you're feeling that day. You might be feeling really good. You might be feeling kind of low. Just depends on how you woke up that morning. Maybe even some news you might have heard or seen that is creating some sort of lethargic feeling or a positive feeling. So once you've identified how you're feeling on your gas tank, you're going to say why you feel that way. So maybe you're feeling tired because you had a lot going on at work. Things are constantly changing. We're around our family a little bit more often, so that might make you feel a little bit out of whack. And maybe you didn't exercise as much the day before, so that made you feel tired the next day. So there's different reasons why we might feel tired, but identifying why you're feeling the way you're feeling can help you to overcome that. So if you did feel wake up feeling tired, here are some ways that you can overcome that feeling. You can take a 10-minute walk to refresh yourself and wake up. You can also drink some more water. That usually helps, especially if you're dehydrated. So that's the time for you to identify how you can overcome feeling either tired, or if you're energized, then you just want to keep that momentum going. Then you're going to identify what your top project for the day is going to be. So your top project is not something that is a to-do task. It's actually something that's a passion of yours, something that's going to progress you to move further in your career or your life. And even though some of you might be thinking like, well, this is never going to end. This is the end of my life. Why would I even be thinking about the future right now when what seems to be happening to me at this moment is extreme and I can't even think, 2 weeks ahead from now. But it is important to have vision for the future, to think about what's going to happen after things have calmed down, because that helps you to stay hopeful, and it helps you to realize that it's not all or nothing. This is not the end. We've gone through many ups and downs with our country for many years in the past. History does tend to repeat itself, but we are strong and resilient, and we will move forward. So this is your time to start working on yourself and to create a top project of something that you've been putting off that now you have time to do. So I put it as an example. Today, my top project is doing something creative for 30 minutes. So that is totally up to you what you want to choose to be creative about. It does not have to be something that everybody else chooses to do, such as painting or drawing, which is a pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Normal creative pursuit, I guess. But I want you to choose something that's personal to you. So it could even be Lego building, or doing a puzzle, or looking into creating videos, or taking photography classes. So then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to identify why this project matters to you. So it is important to know what your passions are and why they're important, so that you will continue to do them. Anytime I've talked to somebody who's looking to lose weight and they just can't seem to figure out why they can't lose weight, I ask them, well, what's your reason for losing weight, first of all? Instead of me just giving them a bunch of things that they should eat and shouldn't eat, why do you want to lose weight? And once they identify the reasons behind their motives, it's so much more powerful than just prescribing some sort of food or some sort of meal plan. So understand what your passions are and why they're your passions. So the example I gave is learning my passions to de-stress a little bit more. The next thing you're going to do is take one small action to move forward with this project. So you could go on Pinterest, you can Google, and something such as creative crafts. That way you can figure out, if you're not sure where you want to start, you can just do those searches to give you better ideas. Pinterest has a plethora of ideas that you can choose from. I mean, the minute you step into Pinterest or you go on there, you'll see a million amazing things that you can try. So it might be hard to kind of narrow things down. But again, if you're not really sure where you want to start with your creative crafts or pursuits, you can always type something like that in, and it'll give you some great suggestions. The next thing you're going to put down is what you're grateful for that day. So it doesn't have to be anything dramatic or crazy, just something simple, such as your dog, your family, the breakfast that you had that morning that was deliciously made by someone in your family. Gratitude doesn't have to be something big for it to be useful. It can be just small things every single day that you either write down that you're grateful for, or you think to yourself what you're grateful for, that really make the big difference in the long run. So the next thing we're going to do is talk about your daily tasks. You're going to put your most important thing at the top, and then as you work your way down, you'll put the things that are less important to do that hopefully you can get to, but if you don't, you can push them on to the next day. So the first thing is, of course, we want to set a positive intention for the morning. So when you wake up, you can think to yourself how you want your day to go, how it's going to be a great day, how you're going to try to take care of your body and exercise. And then you'll work on your to-do list for that day. The next thing you'll do is you'll take your morning walk to get you refreshed, get you going, then possibly eat breakfast. This is just an example. You can change it as you need it, but I also put time frames. And the reason I put time frames is because a lot of times if we're given too much time, we tend to dilly-dally, procrastinate, and push it to the very last minute. If you have time frames, you'll have a sense of urgency as to when these things need to get done, and you'll also be able to see realistically how much you can get done in a day. So that's why time frames are pretty cool. So then you can kind of just go down the list, working in your top project, and then also maybe another walk, but just basically making it realistic to you and what you need to get done. I also added a kids schedule. So I know that many of you have kids at home right now, and some of them may not be going back to school for quite some time. So trying to create a schedule for them is really important as well. I have seen a lot of examples on Pinterest. You can Google it, you can go on social media, and moms and dads everywhere are posting their schedules for their kids. So that can kind of help you to create a schedule for you and your children. Now, I would encourage you to sit down with them and create the schedule together. That way they feel that they're a part of their own schedule, because a lot of times I'm hearing that parents are stressed that they're telling their kids what to do and the kids aren't responding very well. Well, the honest truth is nobody likes to be told what to do, whether you're an adult or a child. So you really want to make sure that you're on their level, that you're talking to them as somebody who wants to be helpful and wants to understand where they're coming from, because again, they're going through a lot of stress as well right now. Even though I know as parents we think we have the most stress, you have to really think about, how this is affecting them and maybe even their motivation, their drive. So you want to be as empathetic as possible during this time. Okay, so also in the evening, take some time for yourself. If you've been giving a lot today or the last couple of weeks, take a nice warm bath, do a little bit of self-love and self-care, maybe do a mask, or for males, if you want to take a nice warm bath, read a good book, or even something, a book of poetry. I've seen people doing that. So just anything that's self-love and self-care, even if it's just 15 minutes a night, will help you to de-stress a little bit more. So here's the copy that I mentioned to you, the PDF that is free to use by Mel Robbins. I will make this available so that you can print it out. Okay, so we talked about how one tool would be mastering your day. If you think that would be useful for you, I definitely want you to mark that down and think of that as an action that you want to take moving forward. The second coping tool we're going to talk about is mastering your story. So turning a negative into a positive so that you can have a more balanced mindset. So with positive psychology, a lot of times people tend to turn to the negative in a lot of stressful situations. If something stressful happens, we kind of either think that it's going to all end up badly and nothing's going right, as opposed to a more positive mindset, such as everything will be okay, we'll work this out as long as we, push through and persevere. So one easy example to show you guys is two people stuck in the same stressful situation, but reacting in totally different ways. So even though, the source of stress is traffic, and you can't really erase that traffic, you can't just, get wings and fly away out of the traffic, you want to be able to perceive your threatening situation differently. So on the one hand, you can get really upset, you can get super, annoyed at the fact that you're stuck in traffic and how's this going to make you late to work, and possibly your boss is going to be really angry and maybe you'll get fired, and you start to snowball into this rabbit hole of negativity and more stress and heart palpitations. Or on the other hand, you can just say to yourself, you know what, this is temporary, soon enough we'll start to go and the flow of traffic will speed up. And you can just enjoy the ride. Just think to yourself, let me put on a podcast and learn something new. Maybe I'll do some mindful meditation. Maybe this time I can sing some music to my favorite band. But instead of letting it turn into a negative situation, you've now reversed it and perceived the situation differently, where you're now more positive. This type of practice is kind of difficult to do, especially if you're not used to it. But it's great. It's a really great way to start to become a more positive individual. The more that you practice this, turning a negative emotion into a positive one, you will start to react more positively in everyday situations. So for the purpose of this presentation, I wanted to show you some what we call positive psychology, or cognitive restructuring is the technical term, or the psychology term, for switching thoughts that we might have around coronavirus and some negative thoughts that we might have around what's happening in our current life and the world. So one negative story that I've been hearing a lot and that people have been telling themselves is isolation is the worst thing. Staying inside makes me sad, anxious, and lonely. So I've been seeing that everywhere on social media. I've been hearing people say it. But that is the worst case scenario. That is a negative story that people are telling themselves. We can change the story and make it more positive by doing a few things. First, I want you to tune into your feelings. Yes, this may be causing you anxiety and depression thinking this way. And now I want you to think about the evidence that supports your story, the worst case scenario story that you just told yourself. The fact is, yes, we've been told we need to practice physical distancing for 2 or more weeks. Now we're into the more weeks, but this is all for the purpose of helping us and helping others from not getting sick. So the evidence that doesn't support your story is physical distancing could potentially save 1 million lives and is an opportunity for me to spend time with my family, hobbies, and side hustles. So now you've changed your negative story and you've realized that it actually isn't so negative. It's a great opportunity for you to now do things that you love and spend time with the family that you rarely would see before because we were so busy, and to actually pursue those side hustles that we've been putting off because we didn't have enough time. So again, isolation isn't necessarily the worst thing. The more balanced story that we can tell ourselves is, yes, physical distancing is an adjustment. It can make me anxious and depressed, but I can be flexible and I can learn new routines and habits, and I will make the most out of the free time that I have so that my outcome is better in the end and after all of this. So hopefully after you've reevaluated your emotions, you've replaced the negative story with a more positive one, you're able to now feel less stressed, more calm, and more in control. So that's how you break down your negative thoughts and transform them. It's called cognitive restructuring, and it can be done for anything that's making you anxious, depressed, or whatever emotion you might be feeling. Another common negative scenario that many people are saying is, all the food is going to be gone and I'm going to be left hungry. So we saw that not too long ago. People were buying frantically. There was a lot of panic, and there still is a lot of panic. So the feelings behind this for many people is stressed, angry, and anxious. But the evidence that supports the story and what's actually happening, the fact is that yes, when you go to stores, we are being now told that we can only take a certain amount of food or a certain amount of supplies. And some empty shelves are still, you can still see them when you go to the store. But the evidence that doesn't support your story is there is enough food, because of the fact that there are other shelves that are still being restocked. They're still restocking on a daily basis, and people are being discouraged from overbuying so that there will be enough for everyone. A more alternative balanced story that you can now tell yourself after you've evaluated all the situations is, I will be creative and meal plan to make the most out of food options available and make simple meals. So yes, maybe you're not going to be making the meals that you used to make, but you can learn to adjust and grow and create new meals out of the foods that are available. Hopefully, after reevaluating your emotions and really seeing if they have validity or fact, now you can feel like you have a more balanced story, a more positive story, and you're feeling more in control and less stressed. So now that I've shown you 2 examples of how you can stop, breathe, reflect, and choose a different story, I want you to try to do that throughout the week as you start to get those negative thoughts in your head about whatever it may be. I want you to really identify where that stress is coming from and really think about that thought, whether it has fact or if it's a true thought, or if you're just getting emotional about something that you may have heard or a negative thought that you may be thinking. So you can definitely change your own coronavirus stories. It's going to be happening for the next couple of months that we're going to be hearing things, that we're going to be maybe even telling ourselves negative stories. I want you to really think about those thoughts that you're having and try to balance them. If you think that this would be a useful tool for you moving forward, I want you to put a star down and write down this technique of changing your coronavirus story. And that way, when you need something in the future, you can always come back to using this template. Okay, so the third coping tool we're going to talk about is a productive quarantine, how you can dive into your creative pursuits. So I absolutely love this saying, never let a good crisis go to waste. I've been using it a lot, and it really helps me to remember that although we are in a crisis, we can make the best out of it. We can create good from this crisis. In fact, I was listening or watching Lewis House. He's a motivational speaker. He's on Instagram. He's awesome. If you don't follow him, I would encourage you to do so. But basically, he was saying that some of the best startup companies came from the last recession that we had in 2008. We had Uber developed from that. We had Venmo. We had a lot of other great startup companies that now are super useful. So even though there may be a crisis, this is a great time for innovation, for people to be able to control that part of their life where they dive into their creative pursuits, maybe start a side hustle, maybe redevelop yourself or redevelop your business so that it becomes better, or even redevelop your career. If you need to do a little bit more further learning for your career, this is a great opportunity for you to do so. So the way that you can dive into your creative pursuits a little bit more is less screen time. So if you are finding that you're just automatically turning on your phone every 2 seconds to check social media or the news, there's a time and place for that, but you want to be able to put that aside so you really don't waste this valuable time that we've been given. So some things that could give you as an example if you want to use them or not, it's just something that I created for you guys in case you needed some more suggestions, is you can always paint, draw, or color something super easy, especially if you have kids, you already have supplies on hand. And then you can send those drawings or motivational sayings or even gratitude cards to your family and friends. You can also start a garden. So some of us who might feel a little bit unsafe going to the store or feel that they might run out at some point of certain vegetables that we enjoy, you can always create your own safe, sustainable foods. You can also cook a new meal or bake something delicious that you've been wanting to try for forever. Maybe even brush up on your cooking or baking skills. Like for myself, I've been trying to do that. I'm not the best cook, so I feel that this is a great opportunity for me to start to do that. And if you hear a little bit of barking in the background, they are my dogs. So give me just 1 minute. Okay, so you can always try to brush up on your cooking or baking skills. Then you can also take a live cooking class. There's plenty of those being offered right now. One great source that you can use is the tablelesstravel.com. That's awesome because they're actually taking donations right now. So if you aren't able to contribute anything, you can still participate. If you can contribute something, then you can always do that as well. Then you can also watch a live stream concert if you want. I know that they're offering a lot of those on different bands and different DJs are offering that, so you can have a dance party at home, which is super fun and gets you moving. You can also read a recommended book that you've been putting off, and then maybe start a book club by sending it out to other people that might want to read the same book. You can always journal using 750words.com. That's a great resource, especially I know that I have a hard time journaling by hand because my thoughts are faster than my writing. So you can use that as a great way to just type it out. And then you can also use Zoom to have a PJ party with your friends and family that maybe you haven't talked to in a while. You can reconnect with old friends. You can have a dress-up party if you guys want to dress up in 80s clothes, or maybe even dress up in the clothes of, if you want to travel after this is all over, you can dress up and have like a traveling party. You can go to Italy. You can go to Taiwan, wherever you want to go. And then maybe even make food that's related to that, to that trip that you want to take. And then if you're looking for more hope, you can always look to a higher source, whatever that may be for you. But I know a lot of churches are doing live sermons right now, so that's another great way to be able to connect with a higher power. And this is also a great time to give back. So if you are feeling anxious because you want to help in some kind of way, you can always help by making masks, or even help an organization, give a donation, or help a church and their community and how they're outreaching. I know a lot of churches are actually having people call the elderly just to keep in touch with them. They have a list of people that you can call and kind of just reassure that everything's going to be okay, especially because with the elderly, they feel more socially isolated, especially in this time. But if you want to make a mask, I know a lot of people are doing that right now. It's just an extra layer of protection. There are no experts or the CDC or OSHA. None of them are saying that it's mandatory or that it will prevent illness, but they are saying that it could be an extra layer of protection. So why not? If you have some extra scraps at home, feel free to look up some masks online, or even you can go to Joann's and they're giving away free materials. All right. So this next coping tool is using gratitude to cultivate happiness. So in cultivating gratitude, you can do that in many different ways. If you've never actually shown any sort of gratitude or really practiced gratitude, it's really fun. It's super easy, and you can learn to do it, just by following some of these tips. So gratitude basically is just celebrating what's happened in the past. So some people I've even seen on social media are posting memories that they really enjoyed with their friends. That's a way to give gratitude that, hey, maybe we're in this moment right now of difficulty and crisis and stress and anxiety, but I did have, this very special life before this, and I had all these memories with my friends. So maybe look through your phone and just celebrate the past, or you might even want to celebrate the future. There will be a time for us to come back into the world and to experience all the things that we were once experiencing. And so you can celebrate those things that you're going to do once you're out of social isolation. Then also slowing down, that can help you to practice gratitude. So if you do a lot of one thing too often, just slow down with it and savor that. If you really enjoy eating cake, then don't eat the whole cake today. Cut it in little pieces, and each day have a little morsel of that happiness. Try to underdose. So actually that's what was slowed down. So slow down means instead of trying to stay busy all the time and doing too many tasks, slow down and appreciate the moment. Be more present and be with your family. Really listen to what they're saying and look in their eyes when they're speaking, because there's a lot that you miss when you don't look in someone's eyes as you're communicating with them. And then underdosing is what I mentioned earlier. If you have too much of a good thing, then you won't really appreciate it. And trying to be active, setting those new goals for the future and having a vision of how you want things to pan out in the next couple of years for yourself can also help you to give gratitude for the future. So in practicing gratitude, you can write down what went well, basically for the current day, and then you can look back and reflect on your whole week. So what you'll write down is what you were grateful for with your work. On Monday, maybe you were grateful for a certain thing. On Tuesday, maybe you were grateful for a different thing. You can also write down what you're grateful for your friends and family. Maybe you had a Zoom session or a Skype session and you're really happy to reconnect and really bond again. Maybe you went on a hike where you were able to still practice that physical distancing, but it was really nice to get back out in nature and to experience the fresh air and the sunlight on your skin. Maybe you had some other sort of thing that happened to you that you're grateful for. Just had my dog jump on me, so give me 1 second. All right, so I want you to write down what you're grateful for, and then I want you to reflect back on that for the week and see how that made you feel and how you can cultivate more of that gratitude. There's a lot of studies that have proven that the more that we show gratitude, we actually become a more positive person. So if you do this for a couple of weeks, even a month, you might come out of this, coronavirus situation feeling a lot more positive, a lot more grateful for your life and the things that you've been given. If you think that the gratitude technique would be useful for you, definitely write it down. So that way, when you want to start practicing it, you won't forget that this is something that you think would be good for your life. All right, so we're getting a little bit closer to the end. We're going to talk about another coping tool, which is exercise to improve mood, and then we'll move on to our meditation. So exercise is amazing for stress reduction. And this is also a great opportunity for a lot of people to do at-home workouts. I know people are disappointed that they don't have their gym that they normally go to, and I know that can produce some anxiety in and of itself. But hey, guess what? You can still go outside, you can still take a jog, you can go for a hike in some trails that have less people. You can still do at-home workouts. There's a lot of places that are offering free at-home workouts, and I do believe I added that to the slide. And if I didn't, I'll just briefly mention them on this slide. So basically, you can go to eos.com, that's EOS.com, and you can find that they have free on-demand workouts there. You can also go to Orange Theory on YouTube, and you'll see that they have free at-home workouts. And then I know Beachbody On Demand has 2 weeks of free exercises that you can do from home. So lots of great free resources. Just schedule a time that you want to do it, pencil it in your daily to-do schedule, and that way you get it done and you can release some of that pent-up stress. Especially when we're inside, we tend to have a lot of pent-up emotions and stress, and we want to make sure that we increase our endorphins. But it's also important to relax the body. So if you are feeling overly anxious, you can also practice mindful yoga, Pilates, Tai Chi, and walking, which are slower moves that can relax your nervous system. And again, there's a lot of places that are offering free yoga on YouTube, online, on social media. So definitely look at those things because they are a free resource. There are also places, yoga studios and gyms, that are offering discounted memberships for online classes. So you get a more personalized experience and you can help out a small business in need so that they are able to survive the coronavirus. Okay, so now let's talk about deep breathing and meditation. Deep breathing is super important when it comes to relaxing the nervous system. It helps to relax the whole body from head to toe. And so I want you to practice that right before we dive into our meditation. But basically what you'll do is you'll put your hand on your belly and you'll inhale slowly as I count to 4. And as you exhale, you'll let your belly deflate. So go ahead and inhale as you feel your belly rise. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it at the top. And then exhale slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's practice that one more time. So inhale slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it at the top. And then exhale slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. So as I go through the next meditation, I want you to inhale and exhale slowly using that same pattern that we just did. And you'll definitely notice how you're going to feel so much more relaxed after this meditation. So go ahead and put your feet firmly on the floor. If you have your arms crossed, just uncross them and relax them on your leg. And then just go ahead and close your eyes. And with a whoosh, just let all the air out of your body. So, all right. So let's go ahead and inhale slowly as I count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it at the top. And then exhale slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go ahead and inhale again as I count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it at the top. And then exhale slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go ahead and repeat that inhale-exhale cycle a few more times, allowing your body to softly rise and fall with each breath. As you continue to slowly breathe, begin to bring your awareness to your body and scan it for any signs of tension. If you feel any tension, slowly let it go. Begin from the top of your head and travel all the way down to your toes. Continue to inhale slowly and then exhale slowly. Scan your body once more for any signs of tension and slowly let it go. Your body should begin to feel very warm, heavy, and relaxed. You are fully present and in tune with your breath. Continue to inhale slowly and then exhale slowly. Now choose a word that represents this relaxed feeling and repeat it silently each time you exhale. You can repeat this word to yourself anytime you want to be transported back to your safe, relaxing place. Continue to inhale slowly and then exhale slowly. Notice how you feel right now, both mentally and physically. I encourage you to hold on to this relaxed feeling and take it with you throughout the rest of your day. Our meditation will soon be ending, so begin to bring your awareness back to the room, noticing any sounds you might hear, and allow those sounds to guide you back. Go ahead and open your eyes. So I hope you enjoyed that short meditation. As you notice, it definitely helps to relax the nervous system. But if you're curious about how you can do this on your own time, definitely use an app like Insight Timer. It's a great source for you to be able to use a guided meditation so that you know exactly how to do it. If you think that mindful meditation would be useful for you in this time, then again, go ahead and rate this as something that you want to use moving forward. So it is important that we take care of ourselves, especially in this time, that we manage our stress, our anxiety, and even if we need to feel our grief, to feel that grief. Because it's important to put on your own mask before you're able to help others. Once we feel whole, once we feel well, we can now go into the world and start to rebuild it one day at a time. Never let that good crisis go to waste. I really want that to stay in your mind this week, to make sure that you take this opportunity as a way to grow and to learn for your future. So what is one action that you will take this week? Maybe it's the maintaining a work routine at home. It could be using positive psychology, diving into your creative pursuits, showing gratitude. Maybe you need to get a little bit more exercise, or you can use Insight Timer to get some meditation and relaxation exercises. Okay, so since this is a recording, we won't be doing the question and answer, but I do thank you for coming today. If you do have any questions, feel free to email me at valardo@epicalp.com, and I would be more than happy to help you with any questions or concerns you have. I wish you and your family luck during this time, and I know that we will overcome this with our resilience. Have a wonderful rest of your day.